So I think today we just have to start with this topic after having an introduction on performance audit. Now we are going to talk about gagas. Of course, I've given you an assignment on that, and that I've said you are supposed to write how many pages? 2 pages, without the presentation and the reference. 2 pages only for year 4. Should be 3. Not 2, but 3 pages. Yeah. So today we just have to have a snapshot of gagas. And what did we say gagas means? Yes. So gagas means general accepted government audit standards, and this is a concept which is applicable in all government auditing. If we talk of government auditing, it's applicable to all audits for periods beginning on or after the year. So it is a government concept that they use in all auditing issues. So audit and performance audit. The independence standard is a principle or principles based, and it should be applied using substance over from doctrine to the specific facts and the circumstances. I will explain that, so that you are independent to protect the public interest in facts and appearance. What are we saying? In fact, you and me, we have ever learned about public sector accounting, whereby we talk about accounting in government. So this is what they're telling us to say. This is a principle that they base on, which is gagas. And when we are talking about performance audit, we are talking about assessing the performance of a particular organization, a particular section. So when they're explaining about this, they say it's a doctrine that is specific and basing on circumstances that are independent. Why? For protection of the public interest. We know that the money in the government is not for it as such, but it is our money as public. So if we go back when you were very young, we used to say, Ife Boma, meaning that we are government ourselves. Why? Because we are the ones that contribute the money to government that is using. So what we can do is that we should know exactly that this is very important. This is very important. This is very important. Us as the performance auditors, we are supposed to know that it is a doctrine and it is a concept that is supposed to be followed when we are talking about the protection and independence of the public money that is being audited. So when we're talking about personnel providing non-audit services can perform related audit work if the non-audit services are fewer. So what are we saying? We are saying when personnel is providing non-audit services, that can be related to non-audit services. So this is mainly when it is fewer, when it is small. So why are we saying that? We are saying that when we are talking about the performance audit, we look into what are they doing. Can we assess their performance? If we cannot, then that is below. So therefore, why are we talking about GAGAS? GAGAS being the main overall principle that is used in performance auditing in government. So the overarching principle must be compiled with and the other safeguard would apply. What are we saying? We also base on the main standards of auditing that are used. The standards as well as the principles. The regulations, what we base on is what also we base on when we are doing the GAGAS, the auditing that is the principle or the concept that is used when we are auditing performance in government. So what is the mandate to both audit and the non-audit services if we are talking about GAGAS? In these situations in which the government auditor is of a legislative requirement, where there is a law that is required for them to be audited, or for other reasons cannot decline to perform the work. So what are we saying? We're saying that it's mandatory. Whether you like it or not, you are supposed to be audited. You are supposed to be scrutinized. Are you really doing the right work? Are you following the standards, the required standards for auditing, or are they following really the accounting standards that they are given as the accountants? Because when we are talking of audit, we are talking about checking the accountants. So when you are checking somebody who is doing accounts, you should be a bit higher. You have to have more knowledge than them, because they can do something that you cannot know. So you as an auditor, as a performance auditor, you are supposed to base on that. Maybe I should go back and ask you a question. What did we say performance audit bases on? Did we talk about that?
The audit is done to check on the profits of the company is fair in terms of monetary issues.
Okay. So this is what we said, but we are going to explain more about that after a bit learning a snapshot of what we are talking, which is GAGAS. So they are telling us that avoid situations that could lead reasonable third parties with knowledge of the relevant facts and the circumstances to conclude that the auditor is not able to maintain independence in conducting audit. Why we are talking about GAGAS? GAGAS, this is what they base on. They base on, they should not base only the third party's knowledge and the relevance. but they should conclude on their own as auditor, which is the main thing that is maintained in the independence and conducting the audit. So we are saying that they should not base on others, but they should also base on themselves. So the principle of GAGAS now. In GAGAS, there are principles to be followed. In some cases, like in Taxation Act, Company Act, Treasury Act, Employment Act, Accounting Standard, Land Act, and any other. What are we saying? GAGAS is a principle that they are supposed to follow all those regulations. One, basing on taxation, whereby we have an act, a regulation basing on act, and then we have a regulation basing on a company act, also Treasury Act, as well as Employment Act. Not forgetting the accounting standards that we base on when we are doing accounting. So the principles also that the GAGAS uses are these, and even the Land Act that is, if it is concerned, and any other that we can think about if we are talking about it following the regulations of particulars. So the principal pillar in GAGAS are these. One, the principal pillars on GAGAS, we are talking about them being 5. Principal pillars. You can say GAGAS, but it's always big GAGAS. Principles are as follows. 1, the first one is the use and application of each. Use and application. On GAGAS. 2, the principle that it follows also, it follows ethical principles. Ethical principles. There is no way somebody can audit without following the ethics of that particular organization or company. C, it also bases on the principle of general standards. General standards. What are general standards? We are talking about general standards, meaning what are the standards that are normally followed when we are auditing. We audit basing on, are these people, accounting people, following their accounting standards, regulations? Are they following them? So you know that the regulations, when we are talking about the general, we can mean the general standards that apply to all audit internationally, but also basing on what they follow as an organization. And then we have D, field work standard and performance audit. Field work standards and performance audit. Because when we're talking about principles to be followed by GAGAS, it means we're talking about the work standards, the work standard that this organization is following. What are the standards? For example, there are other standards that we take internationally when we are doing accounting or auditing. But there are other standards that are based on that particular organization or that particular country. So this is what they are meaning. And when we are talking about for performance audit, we are talking about the concentration on what are the main things that the performance audit concern. We are going to look into that basically when we are going to explain the meaning of the performance audit when we finish this small snapshot of GAGAS. And then we have the last one, which is E. GAGAS also follows the principle of reporting. Last year, when we were learning this subject of reporting, we talked about that reporting is very important. When you are in custody or when you are doing somebody's work, you are supposed to report back how you have done it. So this is a good and a very easy thing to understand, because we already know that reporting, we are supposed to report. But we talk about reporting standards that we learned last time, plus the performance audit. So these are the principles that GAGAS follows when they want to do the auditing. So, in a snapshot, because I can't explain more than that because this is an assignment I gave. So, this is in a snapshot what we are supposed to know, in fact, in connection of GAGAS and what does it base on and what it is and why should we follow it ourselves. It's a government concept that we cannot divert, that we should know it and use it when we are there. So we go to the next, which is the definition of, according to the course outline, we go to the definition of performance audit. Definition. According to the course outline, we are supposed to go to the definition of performance audits. We talked about audit itself, did we? Yes. We said about audit, and we talked about why audit is important, and that we had learned last time. But now we want to talk about performance audit in particular as a subject. Maybe I should ask you a question. What is performance? Only performance. Audit we learned. What is performance? Performance. What is performance?
I know what you message about more like or summary what you said.
Okay. Mhm. Um, if we talk about performance on its own, it's looking into how much you have done or the way you have done it, how good you have done that particular thing. Your performance, Matthews, is not good. Okay. Or your performance is extremely good. So the way you do the things. So, in fact, when we last we talked about, maybe for the good of our friends that are also hearing us, the ODL, we should also maybe start from the types of audits. Okay. I don't know whether if I write, they can also benefit. But why I'm doing this is we should also understand where performance audit comes from. We say types of audits. If we talk of types of audit, there are 3 types of audit. 1, we have external audit. 2, we have internal audit, but this is for private companies. And then we have another internal audit, but this is for public institutions. So, in short, we can say there are 2 types of audit. That is external audit and internal audit. Okay? So when we are talking about internal audit, that's where we as the performance auditors are supposed now to understand that if we talk of performance, it is a branch from internal audit. If we go to internal audits now, if we go, this is the 1, because this is the internal, is it? Internal audit. Then, types of internal audit, that is. Now, we look into types of internal audit. So, types of internal audit. Why should we talk about all this? We want to know which branch the performance audit as our subject comes from. We have 1 internal audit, we have 1 type, which is compliance audit. Compliance audit. And then we have 2, which is a systems audit. Systems audit. Systems audit. And then the 3rd one is where our subject comes from. So if we can now scrutinize to say, we follow into internal audit as a subject. Usually, it was not a subject as such. It was just a branch or a sub or a topic in auditing. But now they have thought it to be a subject because they have seen that it is very, very important. When we talk about compliance audit, it's a review of organizations' adherence to regulations or guidelines. That's compliance. Do they comply with the regulations? regulations, and guidelines. And then systems, this is just for our appreciation. Systems audit is to assess the internal controls of the system. Internal controls. To assess the internal controls of an organization. Okay? So, this is what it is, and us as the performance auditors, then we should know where we stand, and we should appreciate now why we are learning this subject. So we go to performance audit. We have already said that how good are you doing your work. So when we are talking about performance audit, we are basically looking into the performance of a particular organization or a section. So when we are talking about performance audit, we base on 3 things, or 4, because this time we cannot escape this 4. So we go now to performance audits. We go now to performance audits. Performance audit bases on 3 E's. 3 E's. But this time they have added the 4th one. So we base on the 4 E's. If we talk of E's, we talk of economy. So we are talking about performance. How is the economy going on? Auditing on the economy. Then the other one is efficiency. Efficiency. So how efficient are we doing? So that also can be audited. And then the other E is effectiveness. It usually has to talk about the 3, but this time we cannot leave out environmental effects. So the 4th E is environmental. Environmental. So when we are talking about performance audits, we should be talking about the 4 E's. Whenever you are going to be explaining the meaning of performance audit, leaving the 4 E's, it means to me, it's not going to be something that I can mark, but it has to involve the 4 E's. So what are we saying? We're saying that the performance audit is the auditing the efficiency, effectiveness, economy, as well as environment on that particular organization, on that section. But mind you, we have talked about performance audit being the internal audit. If we talk of internal audit, what do we mean when we say internal audit? What is internal audit? Mhm.
The information is kept private from the audit or from the government. The outside people.
No, external audit is people from outside, but internal audit is within the organization.
Yeah, I was saying.
Okay, good. So, performance audit is the audit that you are being audited by your fellow officers, because it's internal. So, look at this, that you are working in the same organization. Maybe you are also working in the same organization, but you are auditing somebody who is your friend. So this is what we are talking about, that this we should be saying we should scrutinize the efficiency, the effectiveness, as well as the economy, not forgetting the environment of that. So this is what we mean when we are talking about performance audit. So, what do we mean when we are talking about economy? What is economy? What is economy? Yes. Or you can explain how you can explain, because everybody knows we talk about this word now and then.
It's a part that deals much with the monetary issues. How to use and how to reserve money for different activities in an organization.
Okay. Okay. So, economy. Economy is the way, as you have said, the way the monies are used in the country. So when we talk of audit of economy, what does it mean when we say economical? It means to purchase appropriate resources, inputs, at least cost, even spending. Example, whether construction of a public building is completed on time at the least cost. Okay? That's just an example in connection of economy. We have to look into how we have used the resources, how we have spent, and not only that, basing on the smallest amount or the cheapest amount. That's what we mean when we are talking about economy. And this is normally used to us, you have not economized. Yes, even at home, sometimes they leave you alone at the house, and then they leave you maybe for 3 days, they give you money, and expecting that maybe within, they say, we are going to find you within 3 days, they give you money. And then they come maybe before the 3rd day, and they ask you, Matthews, give us the change. You say, I don't have. Then you have not economized. This is what we mean when we're talking of economy. Why? We look into how you have used the resources, how you have spent, and at least at the cheapest cost. That's when we talk about economy. And then we have efficiency. What is efficiency? Yes. Efficiency? Efficient. It means to maximize the output for any given input and or to maximize the input for any given level of output. Spending well. Okay? You should be efficient. Spend well. Okay? So this is what we mean, and we have been given an example on efficiency to say whether treatments provided by a community medical service improves the population health. So this is what we mean when we are talking about efficiency. Then how about the effectiveness? The impact. Mm-hmm. The impact. Effectiveness. It means to attain objectives or other anticipated outcomes of programs, operations, or activities. We have been given an example whether treatments provided by the community medical services improves. That's effectiveness. But efficiency, I think we confused. Efficiency example is number of patients treated per dental chair or dentist. Number of patients. That's efficiency. But now effectiveness is the one I'm saying. I think we gave it at another description. So we are saying that whether the treatment provided by the community medical services provides the population's healthiness. So this is what we are saying when we are talking about the 3 E's. How about environmental?
I think how it deals more with the surrounding of the organization.
The surrounding of an organization, the factors that the organization is facing either outside or inside. So even the environment inside can also be considered. How do you treat people inside the organization? That's environment. If you are not happy, somebody is treating you, it means that's unethical. So as a result, it means the environment is not conducive to you. So this is either external or internal. So these are the 4 E's that we should base on when we are talking about performance audit. And you as being 4th year, I cannot be happy saying you just answer to say performance audit is the assessment of 4 E's: efficiency, economy, effectiveness, and environment. Full stop. Then I will not mark. It's just a 1. But I want you to explain to me. You can explain that and then individually explain what do you mean when you say economy? What do you mean when you say efficiency? What do you mean when you say effectiveness as well as environment? That there, then it will give you the right mark for that particular question. Any questions? On Economy. Economy, we said, is the using of resources, spending them. How have you spent them, the resources? Let's say economy, it means to purchase the appropriate inputs basing on the resources, at least cost at the smallest cost, for example, or i.e. spending less, having the resources, using it, and then at the smallest cost. And you have been given an example to say whether a construction of a public building is completed on time at the smallest or the cheapest cost. That's economy, being economical. Clear? So that is what we mean when we are talking about performance audit. And performance audit bases on the regulations, it bases on the regulations internationally, because we just have to look into these three, if not four. And these are four of them. We have the regulations that the performance audit bases on is the ATOSI. Intosai, Eurosai, we have the GAO, and then we have the ECA. So we have the ATOSI, INTOSI, meaning the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions. International Organization of Supreme Audit. Institutions. I hope today you have carried yes, because I have to also give you this small book I have. And then we have the EUROSAI. EUROSAI is the European organizations of Supreme Audit Institutions. And then we have the GAO. GAO means the Government Accountability Office. Accountability Accountability Office. And then we have the ECA, European Court of Audits. European Court of Audits. So for performance audit to perform, it has to have such manuals for its audit, for their sound financial management of their office. So these are some of the principles, international principles that they follow, apart from the principles for accounting that they're checking, one. Also the principles of that particular organization. So this is what we mean when we talk about the performance audit. So far, that's the explanation. We have very big explanations in the books. You can go and research for your own consumption, and that you should also exactly know and appreciate what we are learning. So, for the meaning, that is what we mean when we are talking about performance audit. Maybe for our friends' consumption, the ODL, we also just have to tell them the assignment, but the assignment is on the portal. They can also go and see at the portal. But for ODL, there are 4 questions, but for you, the weekend and the generic, it's only 2. Maybe we just have to say questions or assignment is on the portal. You are supposed to go and write and give us according to the dates that have been specified by the university. Anybody that is not going to give me at that time, we are going to deduct marks. Mind you, assignments are also for your assessment, or it's part of your exam. So you are supposed to be very particular for that. According to our course outline, we have talked about the definition about that, and then we have also talked about the gagas. So we continue to another subtopic that we should talk about. Apart from that, we also have sub-item in connection of internal and external audit. Maybe we just have to look into that as one of the items that we should talk about. Because it's part of the course outline that were given, we should also talk about them. Otherwise, there are the things that we have already done, but basing on what we are given, we are also given that. And maybe because it's cheap, we should find a different subtopic that we should talk about, because these others are too cheap that you can even read on your own, because you are big now. Fourth year is not something that we should be talking about when we are talking about that.